Cravings. We often think of them as stimulus response. So my mouth is watering, or I have an urge. I guess that maybe is the definition of craving that you could look up in a dictionary. But with addiction, we have to look a little bit beyond that to understand how our thoughts and emotions and our feelings can get wrapped around what's going on in our brain, which is the primary organ affected by the disease of addiction. So this can go on unnoticed, kind of like the wizard behind the screen in The Wizard of Oz. Cunning, baffling, and powerful is the word used in the 12-step community for these obsessions that go on unnoticed. And if we're not aware of how we're investing in a thought or a feeling and working it up, building a case, feeling like a victim or feeding that, we believe that the problem is just the problem. And we don't understand how that can equate to a craving. And we get to a boiling point and we don't understand how we got there. And we hear a lot of people say, well, I just had a case of the F-its and I used. And there's no awareness of the craving, if you will, prior to that happening. The obsession and how it wraps itself around your thoughts and your feelings and gets you to the point of wanting to go back out and use your drug of reward or behavior of reward, whether it's eating or sex or spending or marijuana or heroin or whatever it is. And recovery is about awareness. Recovery is about understanding the process. Conventionally speaking, they call this relapse progression or understanding that build up over time. And, researchers like Gorski and Mallet can point to the stages that we go through or some of the key markers of the relapse progression, like denial or immobilization or case building, option reduction, things like that. Those are fancy terms for points at which we get ourselves to when we're not aware. We're not aware of our avoidance or lack of decision making, or our case building and feeding a thought, and they don't feel like a craving. But I think we need to broaden the understanding of the word craving and associate it with relapse progression so that we understand the cunning, baffling, and powerful nature of the organ that is affected, which is the brain, and it's going to use what it's going to use. It's going to use thoughts and feelings to get us to a point where we agree with ourselves that the only answer I can come up with is to go back to using or doing something that brings me unmanageable results, that brings me crisis, that brings me undesirable effects, that returns me back to dysfunction. Hope that's helpful.